So, jumping through some of the features that you listed, you've sort of leaning heavily into AI, and you've gone deep into tools like GPT, Manus, N8N when we first talked about it. But what was your first use case, and then how are you using AI today?
Okay, well, what I might do is I'll go back to the screen share just to show you some of the things that I do with my members with this, so we can see the screen again. So, yeah, I use ChatGPT. It's a big part of my life. I use it all day, every day. I also use Notebook LM. I use ChatGPT to create all sorts of things like GPTs for property and box, a lyric writer. Well, why would I want a lyric writer? A Zoom backdrop creator. Well, why would I want that? Well, every time I engage with ChatGPT or any AI, I always immediately think, how can this benefit my members? So I created a GPT within ChatGPT that was a Zoom backdrop creator. I just created that backdrop there. I just created this one just before we had this meeting. Literally, I couldn't find my other one, so I thought I'll just create one very quickly. So I've got that. That's one. In addition to everything else that I've shown you, and I haven't even spoken about the coaching yet, my members get something like this. They'll get things like a book, right? So here's an example of a book. Now let me just bring it up on my other screen here. Ebooks, and because there we go. So I had a meeting with one of my members just to highlight how I work with my members. And Vickers was telling me that he'd never sold property before, which I thought was, we're off to a good start. But he said, here's my story. I lived in India back in the day, and I lived in a slum, and we had no hot and cold running water, no electricity, and times were pretty tough, as you can imagine. And he then was lucky enough to move to Australia, and now has $25 million worth of real estate. And he's about 65, I think. And I thought, well, great. What a great rags to riches story that this guy's got. And this is all playing out in a one-on-one where I'm trying to work out, well, each member's an individual. Each member's got strengths and weaknesses. How do we productize you, Vickers, and your business? And so that's always my thinking. What have you got? How do we productize it, put it in a box with a nice ribbon on it, and make it available to people? And that was basically what we had to work with Vickers. So we created this book, and it's about a 40,000 word book with instructions and all sorts of stuff. So it's a pretty cool little book. And then what we did is we dragged that book into Notebook LM, which is a free software as well. Again, AI, I'm not too sure if you're familiar with Notebook LM. And what it did is it created a podcast to promote Vickers and his book. I'll play maybe just 15 seconds of it, just to give you an idea.
Okay.
Can you hear that, by the way?
Actually, no, I can't.
Okay.
No.
That'll be just because it's not configured. But anyway, it's a really good podcast. And you can't tell that these two people that are talking about this ebook, you can't really tell that they're not human, that they're AI. Right? It's just incredible what you can do with that particular software. So there's lots of things that I do, creating strategies and documents and all sorts of stuff using AI. The other thing that we're doing now is creating a jingle. Again, you won't be able to hear it, unfortunately, probably because we don't have this configured correctly. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you've seen the program Suno.com.
I have played around with Suno.
How good is it?
Quite a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's incredible. In fact, I was listening to TikTok the other day, and I heard this amazing singer come on, Enly Blue, Ennly Blue. And I'm thinking, this is amazing. This is some of the best music I've ever heard. And I went, which I don't do very often, I went and bookmarked all of her songs, and I've just got them on my playlist. I got a bit more curious, and I started to YouTube to see if I could find this person. It doesn't exist. It's AI. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So